Assalamu alaikum, peace unto you. Each and every human being has at some point or another thought about the major question of whether there is life after death or not. This is something that we all ponder, sometimes occasionally, sometimes frequently. Most assume that this is just a matter of religion, it's just a matter of faith, and they kind of leave it to that. However, in today's video, I'm going to be offering you 4 very intriguing medical indicators of proof for the afterlife or proof for life after death. So again, this is going to be food for your soul, food for reflection, again, on some of the things you may have never thought about before. So let's get right into it. The first point that I want to point out from medical research relates to verified near-death experiences. So again, I said verified. I'm sure all of you have probably heard a little bit about near-death experiences, but modern science typically immediately dismisses them as hallucinations of dying individuals and hallucinations of the brain that can't be verified and so forth. But I want to point out to you that there are some examples of third-party verification of what some of these people are seeing in their near-death experiences. So in this regard, there's a very important study published by Professor Kenneth Ring from the University of Connecticut. It is titled Near-Death and Out-of-Body Experiences in the Blind, a study of apparent eyeless vision. What a title, right? And any of you can look this up. I'll put the reference below the video. But basically, he studied 31 individuals who were blind, who had near-death experiences and or out-of-body experiences. The part that I want to point out is the fact that some of these cases saw certain things that were only verified by third-party individuals. So as a simple example, he gives the case of someone named Brad Barrows, who was blind from birth. And there was a particular incident when he was 8 years old where he had a severe case of pneumonia. He ended up in the ER at that age, and he was admitted, and he basically ended up being clinically dead for about 4 minutes or so, and they ended up having to use CPR to resuscitate him. Now, during this state, when he was later awakened and described what he felt, he actually described seeing the situation outside of the hospital. He even described certain situations from the room itself. He described that on this particular day there was snow outside the building. He described seeing plow trucks. He described a children's playground. He described even seeing a specific car. Can you imagine that? And yet this person is supposed to be blind from birth. And all of the things he described were verified by other people in the hospital. So again, subhanAllah, how do you explain that? Allah knows best. This reminds me of another incident where there was a viral video that came out about a year ago of a Palestinian youth who was tragically dying. And as he was dying, another man came to him. And being that he was Muslim, he asked him to recite the testification of faith as he was dying. And he actually started reciting, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. And he shortly passed away thereafter. Now again, that wouldn't seem very remarkable, but a little bit after that, his mother came to see her dead child, and she basically stated to the man that he had never spoken his whole life. Subhanallah, get that. So again, he was not able to speak and had never spoken since he was a baby, and yet right before the moment of birth, he was able to speak. So again, there are a lot of these types of incidents that have happened, and again, science tries to dismiss a lot of these things, but when they're verified by third parties, then it's harder to dismiss. A second set of studies that I want to point out relates to unusual brain activity that has been pointed out by a particular neurologist named Dr. Stuart Hameroff of the University of Arizona. In this particular case, he studied 7 critically ill patients by monitoring their brain activity. In each of these cases, the brain activity had stopped, the heart had completely stopped, their blood pressure was 0, and they were being monitored by an EEG. So they were basically what we call a flat line on the EEG. And yet before they passed away, there was a period of about 90 seconds where the doctors witnessed a pattern called gamma synchrony. Gamma synchrony, all the doctors know, is basically a period of brain activity that is associated with very highly focused and concentrated activity of a conscious individual. So the obvious question is, how did this brain activity arise right before dying? Science often says, as a person is dying, their brain starts withering away, and you wouldn't expect to see this type of activity, which is normally associated with a conscious, focused individual. So he, again, brought this particular question up, And this particular doctor, Dr. Stuart Hameroff, posited that this could be evidence of consciousness or some type of soul or spirit just before it is about to leave the body, and Allah knows best. The next two proofs that I want to offer are both from the Quran itself, from Allah Himself. This third point relates to sleep and death. So we know as Muslims that we have the belief that when we are asleep, Allah takes our soul, and if we are alive the next day, He basically returns it when we awake. If we are to die, then Allah obviously permanently takes away the soul. So in essence, sleep is viewed by Muslims as a temporary death that is occurring every night. Allah points out in the Quran, in Surah Al-Zumar, verse 42, Allahu yatawaffa al-anfus hina mawtiha والتي لم تمت في منامها فيمسك التي قضى عليها الموت ويرسل الأخرى إلى أجل مسمى. It is Allah who calls back the souls of people upon their death, as well as the souls of the living during their sleep. Then He keeps those for whom He has ordained death and releases the others until their appointed time. Surely in this are signs for people who reflect. So again, the point, brothers and sisters, is that during your sleep, Allah takes your soul away. And then while you're asleep, if you think about the dreams that you experience, you can experience almost anything and everything. You could go back in time, you could see or meet individuals from the far end of the universe, you could go in the future, back in time, meet anyone, past or present. You're essentially a free spirit. But why did Allah give us this ability to dream while we are in our temporary death? It is basically, or at least one of the reasons could be in Allah's wisdom, that He wanted to give us a sign of things to come, of what our life will be like after death, when we will also be a free spirit, where our spirit or our soul will separate from the bodies and can experience a whole other metaphysical realm. So subhanAllah, what a beautiful sign for us to reflect on. The fourth point that I wanted to mention stems from the area of embryology. Here again, Allah reminds us in the Quran that we started off as human beings as simple drops of sperm and simple drops of a clot. And then we went through stages and became full-grown human beings. He can easily resurrect us and call us back. He can call us to account for all of our deeds after we die. And this is something that is very easy for Him. That is why in the Quran it states the following: O humanity, if you are in doubt about the resurrection, then know that we did create you from dust, then from a sperm drop, then developed you into a clinging clot, then a lump of flesh, fully formed or unformed, in order to demonstrate our power to you. We settle whatever embryo we will in the womb for an appointed term, then bring you forth as infants, so that you may reach your prime. SubhanAllah, this is from Surah Al-Hajj, verse 5. So in this verse, Allah is reminding us that we started off as a single sperm drop and we went through stages in order to become a human being. And so it is very easy for Him to raise us up again and call us to account for everything that we have done. So again, there are even other arguments, brothers and sisters, I could bring up that relate to the argument from divine justice and so forth. But in this particular video, I just wanted to recap the four evidences that I highlighted today. The first one related to verified near-death experiences. The second one related to unusual brain activity before dying. The third one related to the fact that sleep and dreaming are both signs for us of things to come in the afterlife. And the fourth one relates to the fact that Allah reminds us how we have gone through stages. We were created from nothingness, and then we evolved from being a simple sperm clot into a human being, and how it is very easy for Him to resuscitate us and call us to account again. So again, these are all things that we should be reflecting on, brothers and sisters, and may Allah give us all the ability to prepare for the day of judgment, to prepare for the day of accountability, the day of reckoning. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
ولكي لا ننطفئ هلم كي نحيي فينا الآمال نزرع